welcome to Pearly Crochet. My name's Hannah, and this week I released my first ever crochet pattern. I'm really excited to share it with everyone. I thought I'd make a little bit of a video just to explain why I did it, and the process of how I made my pattern, and yeah, showing you a little bit of sort of putting one of my patterns together as well, for a little bit of crochet content. Yeah, so let's get into it, I suppose. So why did I make the pattern? Little bit of a sad sort of story. If people have seen my posts, and I guess if you're clicking this video, you know why already, basically. But yeah, on the 14th of June, a really talented musician and artist that made a huge impact on my life, especially growing up, Oliver Tree, passed away on the 14th of June in a helicopter crash in Brazil. And going back to like hearing about it, it was a bit of a shock for everyone. I think it was a huge shock, really. He was so young, and yeah, it was just something you don't expect. And I suppose I wanted to do something that I felt honored him through my art. He was always a big encourager of artists and art in general and being able to create. So I wanted to honor him by making something with my sort of art, which is crochet. So I thought I want to crochet him, basically. And I did this when Ozzy Osbourne passed away as well. It was almost like a cathartic process for me, where I could grieve them in that way by creating something. It's always odd, like having to grieve someone that you've never really met in person, but sort of had an impact on your life, and helped sort of, I guess, shape who you are in a way. So I wanted to make him, and I went looking for a crochet pattern and I couldn't find one. I don't know if there's one out there. There might be. I might not have searched high and low enough. But yeah, I couldn't find one. And then I thought, oh, well, maybe I could make my own. Maybe I've been crocheting enough now where I could make my own. And then sort of a few nights I just kept having repeating dreams of the pattern and what increases I needed and where, etc. So then I started to make the pattern up, and I created my creations. So I wanted to make Turbo, which for anyone that doesn't know is sort of each era of Oliver Tree's art. He would make a complete character and everything around that era of his art. So his first one was Turbo, and probably his most sort of popular and well known as well. When you think of Oliver Tree, you sort of think of the pink and purple jacket. So I really wanted to make Turbo. So this is him here, and yeah, I made him there, and I was really happy with how he came out. The most challenging was the hair and the glasses, but I figured it out, and I got there. But yeah, so the pattern uses sort of your standard single crochets working in the round, but it also uses half double crochets. There's surface crochet in there for his pants as well. And yeah, sort of all different kind of crochet techniques in the pattern. But yeah, I was really happy with how he came out. And then I wanted to also make Oliver. So once I made Turbo, I then used his sort of base pattern to create Oliver Tree. So this is my little Oliver Tree, which is basically sort of his hair from the last 2 years with his big long bowl cut mullet. The top is inspired by Teddy Fresh, who he was friends with the owners of the brand of that, and he wore a lot of their stuff. So I copied one of the Teddy Fresh tops, and yeah, and then added a little chain in there as well, because sometimes he wore a chain. Going back through sort of videos after his passing, I noticed he sometimes wore a chain, so I wanted to add that in there just because Turbo has the glasses, so it was sort of like that 3D element to Oliver Tree that I wanted to do. So yeah, so that's my 2 little creations that I've made, and yeah, from there I then, as I was going, I wrote the pattern, and I had conflicting feelings if I should share the pattern, if I should charge for the pattern, if I should make it free, what I should do, because I didn't want to make it feel like I was profiting off of his sort of tragedy of him passing away. So I didn't want it to feel like that. But it took me about a week and a half to make the pattern, to crochet up the pattern, and then I tested it myself with blankie yarn, which I'll also show. So I made a big turbo out of blankie yarn, which I've got some video of me making, so I'll share that in this video as well. Yeah, so it took me about a week and a half to write the pattern, test it on different yarn sizes, make sure it still worked, make sure it was still doable. And by then I felt like I'd spent so long making this art that if I was going to share it, I would need to charge for it, because there was so much work involved. And yeah, it was a lengthy process. So I have popped it onto my Etsy shop, which is the first time I've opened an Etsy shop. So I'll pop it beside me here, and I'll also pop a link below. But I think it would be pretty disingenuous of me if I didn't donate to Oliver Tree's charity. I want to get the name right because it's so long. So I'll pop it up beside me, but his charity's name is very, very long, so I'm going to read it because it's quite a funny charity name. But it's Dr. Oliver Tree's Extremely Epic Art Grant for Baby Geniuses. And you can donate on there. He actually set it up about a year ago with his lawyer, so it has been set up for a year. And yeah, you can donate to there. What the charity does is it provides grants to artists to create projects. I think they break it down into a grant for one large project or a grant for 3 or 4 smaller projects. And I'm not sure on the style of art, but I do know that when Oliver Tree was sort of speaking about it, he was very much open to all art forms. So I think it's sort of open to any sort of art, but not just like videos or music or anything. It was sort of open. So yeah, go check that out. Please donate. I'll link it down below. I will be donating a portion of any sales I make to his charity as well. And yeah, I think it's just a lovely way to honor him and his creativity. So a bit about the pattern, I suppose, now from like a crochetter's perspective. It is crochet amigurumi. Obviously, it is worked in the round. It does have sewing involved, a lot of sewing, unfortunately. Because of the detail, there's just really no way that I thought I could make it no sew. I tried my best in places, but yes. So for instance, for Turbo, it is worked in one continuous piece from his legs up to his body. The head is separate, and all the little details starting at the shoes, so his little sliders, hopefully you can see that there, is sewed on. As I said, his pants are then surface crocheted and increased to create his flare, the big baggy pants. There's sort of pocket details everywhere all over the body to sew. There's the patch of the pants brand that he wore. Underneath, he's worked in yellow, but I've sort of left it up to people, but I sewed my jacket shut because Turbo always had his jacket sort of done up. I don't think there was a time where he didn't, but I could be wrong. So I actually sewed mine shut. But the jacket is sort of an added piece. Oh, let's come out. Over the top. The arms are done separately, sewed onto the body, and then you put the jacket over the top, sew that on. Head's done separately. Hair is one sort of flat piece and then sewed on. Ears are again surface crochet. Face details are embroidery. And then wire is needed for the glasses, and then I wrapped in both. I wrapped the yarn around the wire, which actually gave the glasses a more firm, solid frame. And then you hot glue some black yarn inside. So there's a few details there. And then for Oliver Tree, he's essentially the same. His shoes are a little bit different, so there's a lot of color changes for Oliver Tree throughout his legs and his arms and body. And then adding on by sewing some tongues to his sneakers, and the chain as well. Ears again, surface crochet. His hair is actually worked the same way as Turbo's hair. It's just that there is about 8 strands that are crocheted longer. So you start with a longer chain. But yes, so that's him, and that's sort of all the details. That's probably sort of about all the info on the pattern, why I did it, and and where you can find it. Please, I encourage everyone to donate to his charity. As I said, link down below. There'll also be a link to my Etsy shop, but also a link to Oliver's channel to check him out if you don't know who he is. And I'm going to finish off this video just by playing the footage of me making the giant Turbo out of blankie yarn. Thank you so much for watching. Let's keep remembering Oliver Tree for his beautiful music and his genuine care and love for other people. So with that, I'll leave you with the footage of me making giant Turbo, and I'll see everyone in the next one. Okay, bye bye. Bye.